That's fine.
Okay, so we've got our mic positioned properly. I can see Richard's face. Smile, Richard. You're on camera. There you go. Watch this one. Pick your nose. No. Yeah, look what I got today, man. I got my. No, you're right. Let's do this the dumbest way possible because it's easier for you.
Yeah.
And you got your resting stitch.
Yeah, the resting stitch face.
I found
I
this.
haven't worn this one yet.
Yeah.
I've had this for a while. I haven't worn it yet until today.
Okay, so
My resting stitch face.
resting
It
stitch.
gives you a battery. You need a battery for your
What's that sound? A resting stitch face?
resting stitch face.
Oh,
You've heard about resting bitch face, right?
yeah.
Where it's like you could be like not mad or happy or I mean just you're just chilling, but it'll look like you're angry because just you have a resting bitch face.
I've been told that before. Mostly son of a bitch, but. Okay, so we got a show to do. There goes the cameras. And I'm an asshole, and that's okay. I piss people off, and it makes my day. Okay, I tried an opera singer type thing there for you. I don't know. Probably killed half the people who are wearing headsets, but well, we like to do that. Oh, there goes my picture. It's back. It's back. And today we are brought to you by Made in China with a K. Khina. Do you need something shoddy, of poor quality, and a day glow color made? Call us at Made in China with a K. Then let's see, it's where we do things big and bad, and at virtually no cost to us. So when you get it, you break it. Made in China with a K. Poorest quality equipment you ever did buy. We sell everything from underwear that won't last you the first fart up to industrial equipment. Which, of course, all that does is fall over and hurt people if it doesn't kill them outright. We do that on purpose so that you end up having to buy from us again. Made in China with a K. That's us. With every order, you get a free case of comes off roll in little pieces toilet paper. Talk about frustration. Then you call Made in China with a K and we'll replace that whole case. Made in China with a K, where we will fuck it up for you. Made in China with a K is a subsidy of the Orange Man Productions. Once again, man, I found us a sponsor. And they well, I don't know if they're going to sell anything, but they're pretty enthusiastic.
They keep paying. Keep that dose flowing.
Okay, your word for today is nyctophilia. No, I'm not going to tell you what nyctophilia stands for. It doesn't stand for what you think it stands for, because I'm a nyctophiliac myself. But
as it turns out, I found out today that I am as well.
Yeah, Richard's a nyctophiliac. We both are. Not a necrophiliac. A nyctophiliac, okay? No Sam Kinison jokes in here. So my first story today. Okay, so like a lot of guys, I've been married, I've been divorced. And then some years later, me and the ex-wife, we got back together and I became what is legally known in parlance as a paramour. Whatever the hell paramour means. I'm not quite certain in a legal stance or where that is. You ever been called a paramour?
No.
Yeah, okay. The thing like, he's got a paramour balls and you just wouldn't know it.
Oh! All right, you got me. You got me.
Okay. Anyways, my ex-wife and I, we went to a bar one night. Meet up with some other couples, have a few beers, a few laughs and such. And while we were there, there was this young lady who lived with one of the couples who had come along for the ride and was somewhat stoned. Okay, yeah, I guess this is another word for it. But she was wandering around the bar, going up to different guys and offering to show them her tits for $1. And apparently she was getting a lot of business because she kept going out the door and into the parking lot and coming back in the door and going to the next guy. Well, she came up to me, my ex-wife, girlfriend, paramour, whatever you want to call it, sitting there next to me in the next bar stool. She goes, "John, I'll show you my tits for $1." I said, "Okay. Here's the $1." And I handed her a $1 bill. At which point, of course, my paramour had a very upset look on her face. It's like, "You're going to pay to see her tits and you're sitting with me?" I said, "No, I'm not done yet." And I looked at the girl and I said, "No, I paid you $1. I don't want to see your tits. Just go on about whatever you're going to do, but I would suggest you stop selling your tits for $1. And of course, I shut up the paramour with that. She wasn't expecting that. Typical man. Gets to see a pair of tits for $1. He's going to pay. She didn't realize I'm not typical. Anyways. The same girl, still with her at this time. We went with another couple. We drove up to Bandera, Texas. About 30, 40 miles outside of San Antonio to the west. And we went up to the state park there. They have a river running through it, and you go swimming and all that good stuff. And we're there with this other couple, and George and I are there, and we're swimming. Her husband, the other couple, his name was George. George and I are there with our old ladies and having a good time and swimming in the river and such. Then we decided swimming wasn't good enough, so we put on our sandals and we started walking up the side of this hill. Now, the hill wasn't easy to walk up. It had a lot of trees in there and a lot of rock outcroppings and such you had to climb over as you're going up. But I figured it'd be a nice little exercise and go see what's up there just for the hell of it. Well, as we get near the top, I keep hearing this tap, 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 tap like a hammer. And that's when I see this guy standing by a shack not too far away, maybe about 10, 15 yards away. His back to us, and he's tap, tap, tapping on something with his hammer. And he's got a pistol strapped to his waist. Well, me being me, I just walk up and tap him on the shoulder, and of course scared him a little bit, didn't mean to, but he jumped up and turned around and said, "Hi, I'm John. I just wanted you to know I was here. Me and my buddy George, we're just, walking around and exploring the place a bit." And sat there for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes and talked to this fella, and he told us about the local area. And he was he was a local native. And about that time, George and I take off. We go back down the hill to our old ladies. And on the way back, George is telling me, "John, you're crazy." And I go, "What are you talking about, George? I don't understand. Why am I crazy?" Says, "That man had a gun on his hip, and you just went up and tapped him on the shoulder and, 'Hi, I'm John,' and didn't get shot?" What? That's normal to me. I do that all the time. George thought I was really something after that, but okay. You take a reputation when you can get a reputation. Reputation. We're the sock monkey dancers. We've got sock monkey dancers here for you, too. One of them got left out. There he is. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Look at that. They're dancing. Followed by Ugly Bunny. Ugly Bunny. That was made by Made in China with a K. Okay, enough of that. Enough of that. We're having a little too much fun. You know, Richard, I still can't tell how long we've been on. Okay, 10 minutes and 23 seconds. I see it. I finally see it after all this time. Right there. Got it. Oh, boy. And, see, next on there is, okay, me and my friend Doc. And we used to go down to the Medina River up in New Braunfels. The Braunfels, Texas, just outside San Antonio. Used to go up to an area called the Horseshoe Bend. Now, everybody else, you know, it seemed was going there to go tubing. So, of course, they had to rent a tube and say, get down the river and float down the river on a tube. And they usually rent an extra one with a bottom in it, and they'd put their beer in there, or their liquor, or whatever else they were carrying in there. Doc and I would go snorkeling. For us, it was a treasure hunt. It was something different. You ever been on a treasure hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Especially when you don't know what the hell the treasure's going to be. And then you find it and go, fuck, look what I found.
That's kind of the allure of geocaching.
Yeah.
I mean, you know you're just going to find a thing with usually just going to find a thing with a piece of paper on it that's fine and, you know, cross it off your list. But some are particularly strange to get to, and, you know, they'll have, like, you know, when you eventually find it, it's like, oh, okay, you know, that's cleverly hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, sometimes there will be like an item in there.
Right, I've heard of it.
Moving around and being tracked. Like some of them, people would trade VHS tapes of different movies. Then, you know, they'll put one out in there, and they take that one and put another one there. It's pretty cool.
You know, that's something.
It's kind of like treasure hunting. Like some of them you have to go for long hikes to get to. Like they're not always just right off the side of the road.
Okay, so I'm gonna suggest something right now. Okay, right now Richard is unemployed. He's going through those. Yeah. I don't have a job, but it sucks, but it's fun at the same time. Okay.
Yeah, it's the lack of insurance that bothers me.
I'm gonna put a challenge to you, brother. I'm gonna put a challenge to you.
What's up?
Okay. You heard the story about the guy who traded up from the paperclip to a house?
Yes.
Okay. My challenge is simple. We both start with a paperclip. I don't know where we're going to find a paperclip at, but you know, two of them. But let's see who could trade up the highest in 6 months.
Off the paperclip?
Yeah, off the paperclip. Start with or something small that's kind of weird looking.
Be small. It's got to at least be worth the shipping.
Now, mind you, I'm going to have to ask your help in this on a weekly basis because I don't have a phone to take a picture of whatever it is I'm selling. So we'll find something tonight here at the house to sell, or trade rather, and take a picture of it, and then he'll email it to me. By the same token, you do that when you get home or tomorrow morning, whatever's going to work for you. But if you wait till tomorrow morning, I'll already be about 12 hours ahead of you on the trail. And find something you want to trade up from and see how far you can make that trade work. And after 6 months, we see right now is June 6th, so that's December 6th. Hey, December 7th is the next day. Oh, shit. Whoever has the best trade wins the bet.
You want to start from like what exactly?
I don't know, like something, you know, innocuous, something that does have value but not much. It's like I got a pair of those Tibetan balls that sing to you when you're chiming them.
Or maybe like a DVD of some awful movie that you know you're never
Yeah,
going to watch again.
exactly. And see what you can get for that, and then what you can get for what you got or what they traded you for, and so on up the line. And whoever has the most valuable thing at the end of the 6 months
I think that's
is the
something
winner.
that makes a little bit more sense. It'd be something like a something like something you're not going to miss, like a DVD of a shitty movie.
Could be that. Could be a pen that's got a weird thing. It could be my ugly bunny cup. Though I don't think it's going to be the ugly bunny cup. I sort of like my ugly bunny. I've had that ugly bunny for a long time now. So what do you say?
What do I say?
Yeah.
You're on.
What do you say? We're on. Handshake. Okay.
You're on.
That's going to keep both of us busy for the next 6 months. You realize that?
Oh, at least.
Oh, come on with it. Never mind. My mind is not working right tonight, man. It's kind of falling off somewhere. But anyways, Doc and I would go snorkeling. That's when we started it, right?
Okay, all right. If I think of something even easier, or whatever, then like just a random shitty DVD movie, then I'll let you know. But that's just kind of what I'm looking for right now.
You don't have to let me know what you're starting with. I could care less what you're starting with. You know, as long as it's not of a lot of value. You know, something just small and whatever. DVD, that's fine. You know, shitty movie. The whole idea is that where do you stand 6 months after you started trading up? That's the whole
that I don't
goal.
know.
Yeah, that you don't know, and that's what we're going to find out. That means that both of us have to actively engage with different people. Oh my God, I've got to leave the house. I'm a house body. I've got a bad hip, bad knee, bad back. I don't go anywhere much anymore. You know, grocery store and back home, or to the nail salon to have my toenails cut once every 3 months or so. Man, I'd have to go out of the house too to meet people to trade up with them for this stuff. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be fun. It's all the way. It's going to get us going. Anyways, Doc and I, we would go, as I was, keep going back to Doc and I, snorkeling. But we would find a variety of different things when we were snorkeling, particularly if we were going to the bottom. And it was always, you know, fun for us. It was exercise, and it was kind of like a treasure hunt. Now, of course, we'd find your regular treasure down there, trash, whichever one you want to call it. Sunglasses. We used to find god-awful amount of sunglasses. And we both carried a net bag with this large net bag that we put our finds in. And Doc would take those sunglasses, you know, whenever he'd go to toy shows or whatnot that he would like to go to. And he would sell the sunglasses from a box center. He'd have this big old cardboard box. And it was a big box, and it would just be stuffed with sunglasses, all different types and colors and shapes and everything, you know. That was where snorkeling was where I would get my summer wardrobe of T-shirts, pulling them off the bottom of the river. They'd be pretty filthy, and some of them had holes in them, but I didn't mind. I like holes in my shirts, you know. My Name is Trinity, man. That was one of my favorite. You ever seen that movie? My Name is Trinity.
No.
No, that's a classic. You need to watch that. It's a Western movie about a guy named Trinity who's a slob, but he's a hell of a gunfighter at the same time. I mean, when the movie opens up, you see a donkey dragging what is obviously behind it a pallet of some sort. And on there, you could see the guy's laying there on the pallet. You can't see his face because he's turned the wrong way. And his arm is sort of just hanging over the edge of the pallet and dragging in the dust. That's Trinity. and his horse or his donkey or whatever is dragging him along in this pallet, so he doesn't have to make any effort whatsoever. And it finally gets to a little town and pulls up in front of the saloon where he orders beans. And the thing about Trinity is he's wearing this long sleeve knit shirt with no collar on it. Looks like one of the sleeves is torn off halfway up the forearm, and the rest of the shirt has holes all in it. You know, and all of us kids back there are like, yeah, that's what I want. I want a shirt with holes in it. So my river finds were perfectly fine by me if they had holes in them, and I liked what they were saying. I'd take them home, wash them up, and that's what I would wear, you know, for the summer. But anyways, yeah, some of the things we used to find down there. Found a pipe bomb once, unexploded pipe bomb. Somebody had obviously thrown it into the shallow part of the river, where it happened to be when I found it at the time. Wanting to go fishing, I suppose. Yeah, down here we fish with explosives. You ever fished with explosives? Why do you think they don't sell M80s anymore?
Do they completely stop selling those, or was that just because the last time when I went out to buy
I haven't seen them in a long time.
Last time I went to buy fireworks, it's like all the. Well, I also made the mistake of going to Alamo Fireworks instead of Mr. W. Mm-hmm. I'm like, where the hell are your black hats? Where the hell are the jumping jacks?
What, they didn't have the little black cats?
Like they didn't have the like. Yeah, I made the mistake of going to Alamo Fireworks.
Wow.
They manufactured their own shit.
Those are basics.
That's why I should have gone to a Mr. W. And I'm like, you want how much for fucking 6 bottle rockets? Like,
what were they asking?
Holy fuck! It's like $10 or something.
For 6 bottle rockets?
Yeah, don't do anything fancy other than.
We used to get 6 bottle rockets for $0.25.
Yeah. I remember when it was. I'm like, when the fuck did fireworks get so goddamn expensive? That is very strange to me.
Yeah, we used to have bottle rocket wars and fire them at each other. We set a car on fire with one time. It was an accident. It was somebody's project car parked there on the side of the street with the windows open. One of the bottle rockets went in there, and next thing we know, the damn thing's going up in flames, and a person in the house comes running out screaming and yelling with a hose, trying to put it out, and it won't go out. We didn't mean to burn his car down, but it happened.
These things happen.
Yeah, bottle rocket wars, man. We used to love to get stoned and do bottle rocket wars right there in the middle of the street. I mean, it was like being John Wick, back before John Wick was even known. We'd be standing there looking in the headlights of that bottle and come shooting us, and we'd go, "Ooh," and just turn, and it would go by us. But anyways, I found a pipe bomb. And so, of course, I pulled it out of the river. I put it on this bank there. I got somebody to go up to it is back before cell phones, mind you. So I got somebody to go up to the where they rented the tubes and call the sheriff's department, who came out to get it. And he sent one guy out there who walked up, looked at it, said, "Oh, you found that in the river?" And I said, "Yeah, Tex, it was right there in the river where I was sitting." He goes, "Okay. Well, let me go ahead and deal with it." Whereupon he picked up the bottle rocket, opened up his trunk, threw it into the trunk. Not place, but threw it in, closed his trunk, and drove off. And I'm sitting there with my buddy thinking, what the fuck? This is how they treat explosives here. Oh, Jesus Christ. But I found whole bottles of liquor down there. Of course, when you come out of the river, out of the Horseshoe Bend, there's always monitors there making sure nobody has glass receptacles on the river. Nobody wants that. And I'd have to explain, I pulled this out of the river. I didn't take it on to the river, at which point I go, okay, well, you're taking it out, it's yours. So, yeah, I found several bottles of liquor that way. Jewelry. Sometimes expensive watches, sometimes not so expensive watches, but most of the time they'd be waterproof watches. Underwear for men and women. What the hell underwear's doing at the bottom of the river? I don't know. Generally, pick it up, see what it was. Oh, let go with that. I don't want to mess with that. Dive gear. We found dive gear down there before. Watches and rings and bracelets and necklaces and you name it, it was down there, And there was the 10-foot rule. 10-foot rule came into effect when if you had to take a piss, you looked at your partner and go, hey, 10 feet. And he would go at least, oh, here we go again. Restart now, pick a time, remind me tomorrow.
Yeah.
He would go at least 10 feet away from you so you could float there in harmony and let go. Piss your brains out. There won't be a wet spot on your piss because by the time you get out of the river, it'll be washed off anyways. Oh, Jesus. I'll save that for another time. Save that one. We used to have a guy named Joe Barstow or Baxter or something like that. I can't remember his last name. Hey, we got any more beer left?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get another two.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got excited by 2.5 gigabit switches.
Okay.
And I was thinking, like, okay, what machines do I need, in the house that could actually benefit from that extra throughput? And I think I know which ones.
And how much is it?
It's not that much at all, actually. The switch is that's 4-port, by the way. And it has SFP for optical. Surprisingly cheap.
I don't know if y'all can hear Richard, but he's up there talking, so.
I'm geeking the hell out at the moment. I mean, not that I'm gonna worry about this right now. I mean, my internet's perfectly fine, but yeah, it's I don't know, some brand called One Lay. I've never heard of that before. And it's the only okay, what the hell is this? Kind of.
All you can do is Google reviews on them and see what you can find.
$35 for a 4-port. I'm just curious. Not that I fucking need that right now. That is not like, oh my god, this has to be an immediate purchase. I need this. That can wait till after I find another job. I've been wanting to get you a better router.
What?
I've been wanting to get you a better router.
Why? What's wrong with my router?
Sucks. It's old.
So it's old.
If you're gonna get fiber, I mean, take advantage of it. Your router's gonna kind of.
They give you a router, so it's, and you remember you said it looked like it was better than the router they were giving away.
What I don't know is whether or not it's going to be one of those routers that you have to use a smartphone to control.
Hey, look at that. I could talk better this way. Yeah, okay, well, maybe a new router.
That's a deal breaker for me. Anything that doesn't let me, any piece of network equipment that doesn't let me configure it over the network on a computer is an automatic turnoff. If I'm required to use a fucking smartphone to mess with my...
Yeah, well, that's a turn off for me because I don't have one.
Yeah.
I've got to be able to do it from my computer or else forget it. Don't want to deal with it. Now, Belkin is old, but, she's still working. Still doing her thing. I just have to restart it about once every 2 or 3 months. reboot it to get it to work right. Sometimes it just dies.
It's probably, yeah, I think that's just the main issue. Is
It's old. I'll give you that.
you'll still notice. I can feel the pain of the upstream and downstream on this network, especially the upstream.
So we were going to talk about Mocking Joe. Now Richard doesn't realize it. He knows this guy. I know he's seen him. We just don't remember him. Is all. Joe was one of the vice presidents in charge of something there at the printing plant that we were working at. And one day Joe showed up to work, was walking through the press room, but he wasn't walking. He was using a pair of crutches to pull himself along there. Apparently he'd broken his leg over the weekend. And as Joe's struggling with his crutches and across the tiled floor there, and John had a few minutes on his clock to kill. Couldn't help himself. I started walking with one leg stiff and one leg working and imitating crutches alongside Joe. And he looks at me and I go, "Hey, Joe, how's the crutches working for you, man? Was that a broken leg?" "Oh, that's not a broken leg." "Oh, that's a broken leg over there. That one's working fine, right, Joe?" And he just looked at me, "John, get the fuck away from me." I would invariably do things like this on a regular basis with various management and such. I had the head of maintenance department there right next to me one day, and the vice president in charge of production for the plant by the name of Etienne, guy from France. And they were speaking in French backward, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, the guy from maintenance says, "Oh, I'm sorry. That was rude of us. We're speaking in a language you can't understand." I said, No, that's okay. I understand French." And he goes, "Parlez-vous français?" Blah, 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 blah. And I said, "No, I understand French." They looked at me like, "Oh, shit." And I turned around, walked off, and we're kind of giggling, but kind of pissed off at the same time.
That's funny.
And John just went about being John. We had Robert. He was our SciTech operator. You know, SciTech is the piece of equipment in the lottery industry that puts the numbers on the ticket and has its own specific pressman who runs that.
It's all the stuff you see underneath where you scratch.
Yeah.
All those little graphics. Yeah.
Exactly. So Robert showed up one night to work, had this really nice looking, it looked like a white cake, which he said was chocolate cake with a white frosting. And he held it up for all of us guys to look at. He goes, "Yeah, I bought this tonight for all of us to have as much cake as we want tonight." And as soon as he said that, I reached in and grabbed a handful. And he looked at me, "God damn it, John, I bought forks and knives and I bought plates." "Oh, I'm sorry, Robert. I shouldn't have taken that. You're right." And I put it back in his pocket. This is just me being me. You don't know what's going to happen next. I'm just going to do it and not even think about it. And then laugh my ass off and I realize what I just Needless to say, there are people there that loved me and there were people there that hated me. There was no in between. You're over here or you're over there when it came to me. Okay. When I was in the Navy, we went to Norway. And generally, when you go on Liberty, in the U.S. Navy, you go with somebody else. And that way, buddy system, watching out for each other. Well, this time, I was by myself. I didn't have anybody else along to accompany me. And so I was walking down this street there, and it had this extremely steep hill with some rocky outcroppings and such, make good handhold and foothold places, and decided I was going to go rock climbing, or a simulation of it, because it was, a lot of dirt there too, so it kind of didn't count. But it looked like it was a strenuous climb and something a little challenging, and it sure as hell wasn't on the ship, so yeah, I went climbing up this hill. And I climbed and I climbed and I climbed, and I finally got to the top of the hill, and lo and behold, I'm looking at a public park. It's surrounded by the trees that I had come out of and around the other edges of the park. Had these beautiful, wide open meadows and such, and a lot of, people just wandering around. So I come walking out of the trees, and I see these two dogs maybe about 30, 40 yards away from me. Big old German Shepherd that was black and gold, like the German Shepherd I used to have when I was a kid. And a Rottweiler, who was also black and orange. Beautiful beast, big one. Bigger than a German Shepherd even. And so I stood there and I looked at them, and they cocked their heads and looked at me, and then I just reached out my hand. I started going, shh, 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 come on, come on, come on, come, come. And apparently they understood the come part, because they started running at me. So there I am there, standing there with about 120, 140 pounds of dog running at me. They get to me, and I tackled the Rottweiler. Tackled him to the ground, held him down a little bit, shook him up a little bit, and then rolled over, let him on top, and while he's up there, and then I rolled back over and started, holding him down and such. And about this time, the German Shepherd comes up from behind, and he doesn't bite. He just nips the back of my neck and such, because he wants to play. And so I let go of the Rottweiler, and I tackle the German Shepherd, take him down to the ground. Of course, he's scrambling around down there trying to show, I can get out of this, but he couldn't. I put him into a scissor lock, I think it's called. And then while I'm doing that, the Rottweiler jumps me from the side and starts pawing at me and licking my face and everything else. About this time, this older couple comes running up. They're in a panic. They're just, oh, shit. They thought they were going to find someone who was dying because they thought their dogs were attacking me. When at the time I was like, no. We're playing. We're having fun. Of course, they thought I was crazier than hell. The dogs loved being around me and whatnot. And finally, they left and took their dogs with them, and the dogs kept looking back and wagging their tails, and like they wanted to play some more. But hey, that was the end of that story. The other thing about Norway that I'll never forget is walking down the main street and coming up to my first sex shop, right there in the window is about a 14-inch double dong dildo. Right there in the front, in the middle of the display window facing the street. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And then I look up at the window, and there's the full regalia. A BDSM leatherwear for a madam. Or leatherwear for a guy who's being dominated, complete with the ball that goes in your mouth and a little chain that goes around. I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is this? Public street, broad daylight. They got all this stuff in the windows. And there's little kids wandering around here. Jesus, what a place, But you don't know until you go there and find out for yourself, I guess. Oh, man.
That's still pretty damn funny.
Now, another thing that we're in a bad habit of doing, when I was in the Navy, was coming back from Liberty drunk and giving our buddies who were on watch that night a hard time. It wasn't done to be mean or anything. He just expected that you come home drunk and you do stupid shit. So one night, about 4 or 5 of us came back drunk. And we went to BM2 Haran's rack and managed to pull him out of his rack. Him kicking and fighting the whole time because he knew we were drunk and we were up to something. We sat him down in a chair, held him there, duct taped him to the chair, chest, legs, arms, and then ran the duct tape around the front and over his both shoulders. I mean, we duct taped the hell out of him to that chair. And then we held his arms up like this. Now, the thing about John Horan, you have to understand, he's Boston. He was from Boston, Irish Catholic, big fella, with red hair, no less. Makes him more Irish that way, doesn't it? And had the hairiest arms any of us had ever seen. I mean, where most men will grow hair that they can shave off with their knife to make sure the knife is sharp enough, he had like a fur coating going up his forearms to his elbows. Well, in the process of taping him to the chair, we decided to tape his forearms together with duct tape as well. And then one of the guys got a bright idea. Hey, let's tape him to the overhead, to the pipes up there. So 4 of us held him aloft. The 5th one got the duct tape and taped him in the chair to the pipes. And then taped his mouth shut. So John Horan couldn't say a word. He's just up there duct taped together, hanging from the chair in the overhead. About that time, I guess we lost interest and we all went to our separate racks and passed out. I didn't say go to sleep. We passed out. We woke up the next morning at Reveille as Reveille was being spoken on, the 1MC. And we got to hear, what the hell is that? From one of the voices in the berthing. And all we hear is, oh shit, we forgot about John. He was still taped to the overhead. Well, needless to say, they got 4 or 5 guys, took him down. And the best part was when they took the tape off of his forearms and they stripped his arms of hair and the scream that came out of that man's mouth. Those of you that have been a sailor at one time or another in the United States Navy will understand why we did that. And for those simple, peaceful souls that don't get it, fuck you. That's the way we did things back in there. Now, I don't speak much of speak enough, I guess. I mean, I don't know why I've left this out for so long. I don't know. I used to have a dog named One. He was part poodle, part Jack Russell Terrier, and part God knows what. I used to call him my 1,000,000-mile-an-hour dog. He only weighed about 14 pounds. Small little fella. With the heart of a giant. Thought he was 200 pounds at times. And, that would tend to get him into trouble. John would have to step in and bail him out. And he was smart as a whip. I know everybody says, oh yeah, my dog is smart. Look, my dog can do that and can do that. Well, I put a screen door on the front, outside the front door of the house there. And one day I'm sitting there after One was outside for a while. He was at the screen door and he started whimpering. He wanted to be let in. And I decided right then and there, no. He can whimper all he wants. I'm not going to get up off of this chair and let him in. I want him to learn to do it himself, if he's smart enough. And I'll be damned if that dog didn't do it. He learned how to open that screen door and let himself in the house, and then let himself out of the house, which of course saved me a lot of steps, But one of his most annoying habits was the fact that he would not drink beer with me unless it was Samuel Adams. He was an expensive little bastard. I'd take a beer, put half a beer into a water bowl here in the house, and then put it back in the fridge because I was going to have to finish that one off. And he would get a half a beer, and then he'd stumble around drunk. But if I put anything but Samuel Adams in that bowl, he'd turn his nose up at it. I don't know what it was, if it was the taste of the beer, how it was brewed, how it was packaged. I haven't got the slightest idea. All I know is that he likes Samuel Adams beer, which I'm sure he's enjoying right now.
I would say so.
I played football from 7th grade here in Texas, MacArthur Junior High, up on the northeast side. I think we were the Owls or something. I can't remember. Or the Yearlings. Yeah, we were the Yearlings. Garner Junior High Yearlings. You know, like a yearling bull or something. And I played football up until my senior year. Senior year was the last year I played. And we were in Michigan at Oscoda, and I was playing ball there. It was my sophomore year, I believe. We had just finished a particularly brutal and wearing practice in the middle of the week. I think it was a Wednesday. And of course, being football season and being Michigan, it was cold and chilly out there, so we were freezing our ass off as well as practicing. And so none of us could wait to get into the locker room, strip off our gear, and then jump in the shower and try and get a hot shower, warm up. So we all got, our gear stripped off, got into the shower. We're sitting there warming up and washing off and the such. And as we finished our showers, we would, come out of the shower and go to our locker and start getting dressed and putting our gear away. And all of a sudden, from down the row from my locker, I'm, what the hell's that smell? And all of a sudden, there's Curly. Who took a shit in my helmet? I don't know who he pissed off or who got upset with him. But apparently, while we were in the shower, someone took the opportunity to take a shit in Curly's helmet. We never did find out who. I don't suppose it would matter because, he'd have been a hero. Curly was an asshole. He was only about 5'8" or so, but he was still an asshole. Deserved all of it. I'm glad somebody took a shit in his helmet. I only wish it'd been me. Oh, man. Okay, my last story for tonight. Gibraltar. In 1985, I think it was about June or so, or May. No, it was May or March. One of those two. We went on the 85 Med Cruise while I was in the service. And of course, we crossed, the big pond, the Atlantic. Got to European waters, went up into the Mediterranean. The first place we pulled into, first port of call for us, was Gibraltar. That little weird subsidy of England that sort of hangs off of Spain. Kind of like a testicle hair. Just sort of hangs there. So we went and we stopped at Gibraltar. And at that time, my friend Pete, he had been in some trouble and been written up and disciplined for several things, was on what they call restricted liberty. And the only way he could go on liberty was if he went with a second-class petty officer or above. Excuse me. Well, I myself, at the time, being a third-class petty officer, did not qualify to take him off the ship. But our friend Misery Morris, also known as Ball Peen, because of the shape of his head, took Pete under as his responsibility and decided he would accompany Pete on Liberty so he could go on Liberty in Gibraltar. I mean, who wants to pass up that opportunity? Foreign country, you get to see something new. Who knows who you're going to meet? And they went on Liberty. Well, I was wandering around town, drinking a beer here, drinking a beer there, whatever. And I came upon Pete and Misery Morris in a bar, which of course they shouldn't have been in, because Pete can't drink while he's under restriction. And Mike knows this. As Mike's like, yeah, I'm just having a beer and Pete's having a soda. And then we're going to move on down. I said, well, hey, man, Pete's okay with it. He can just sit here for a while. And, hey, let's go get some dinner down there, down the street. Okay, let's go. So Misery Morris and I, we go down there. We have dinner. I forget what we ordered or what we ate. And then after dinner, about 30, 40 minutes later, we wandered back to the bar. Walked into the bar. No Pete. Pete is gone. He did not stay in the bar, as Morris had told him. He split. No telling where he went. So now Morris is freaking out. He's responsible for Pete. He can't find him anywhere. And we run down to Fleet Landing. Now that's where our Liberty boats would come in and land and let people off and take people on and take them back to the ship. So we're down there at Fleet Landing. And no Pete. He's not there either. And there's no word of him. Well, as we're about to leave, all of a sudden over one of the radios, one of the SP's radios, Shore Patrol's radios, we heard the Gibraltar police describing a rather broad fellow, about 5'8", 5'9", with a big square head and a square haircut. We've just apprehended him. He has things in his pocket, some of which we think is black tar heroin. And Mike and I are just standing there going, oh, shit. They're describing Pete to a T. And I looked at Mike and he looked at me and he's like, man, I got to go back on board ship. I got to report in and let them know what happened. They're going to hang me. And I said, Mike, you go back on board that ship right now. You're not getting off the damn thing for 2 or 3 months. You know that as well as I do. They're going to restrict you too for fucking up. So we might as well go out and have a good time while we can. Of course, Mike, after having thought about it and being Misery Morris, Ball Peen as well, said, yeah, okay, let's go get drunk. Let's go to the bar. So we went and started hitting the bars and getting drunk. About 2 hours later, we ran afoul of BM1 Ortiz. Now, BM1 Ortiz was about 6'3", 275 pounds, belly hanging over his belt, red-headed Mexican. I know, you don't see many red-headed Mexicans. And that hair looked like it came off a black man, and it should have been black. Big ugly fucker is what he was. Nice guy, but big ugly fucker. Anyways, we ran into him at a bar. He was extremely drunk. And he rushed Mike and I. And we didn't know, neither one of us, because we were both pretty drunk, which one he was going to grab. So we both prepared to fight him off. Well, he rushed right by me, brushing past me, grabbed Mike by the neck, bam, threw him up against the wall, and lifted him up, and Mike's feet are just dangling there, and his toes are going, You can tell he's having trouble breathing. And I'm thinking, shit, I gotta fight BM1 Ortiz now. Jesus, I'm drunker than hell. I go to Mike's rescue, manage to pull Ortiz off of him, back him up into a corner, and talk sense into him to keep from killing Mike. But the only thing that kept coming out of Ortiz's mouth was, "Where's Pete? Where's Pete? Damn it, where is Pete? God damn it, Morris, where is Pete?" And I just looked at, we lost Pete, and we don't know where he's at. But that time we found out that he'd been arrested by the Gibraltar police, was in possession of black tar heroin and several other drugs. I forget what they were. And when they found him, he was laying there in the gutter, passed out. So needless to say, we got him back from the Gibraltar police. Got him on, and they took him to the aircraft carrier, and they put him in what we call a red line brig manned by Marines, which are not good because they're assholes anyway. Any way you look at it, I don't care if they are assholes. They're still assholes. I'm a squid. I ought to know. And Pete spent 2 months in the red line brig before he came back to South Carolina. At which point, yeah, he was blaming misery too. Poor Morris. But yeah, Morris didn't get off that ship for 4 months. They put him on restriction and would not let him off. Surprisingly, I didn't get touched. As far as they're concerned, I didn't do anything wrong. But anyways, well, that's it for tonight. I've told you a lot of stories, told you a lot of jokes. I hope some of them made you laugh. Remember, if you want to look up my poetry page, yes, I also write poetry. Go to Facebook, look for the poetry group, Talking to Flowers in Low Gear. And feel free to join and publish your own poetry on there. But until next time, this is John.
And this is Richard over here being distracted by shit. Sorry.
And this is John Sees the World. I knew I forgot something. Or is it John Sees the World?
Will we ever know?
Okay, cut. We're done. We're out.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That was okay. That was okay. You seemed to lack a little energy there. That's all right.
Well,
We'll
I
make up
knew
for
that
it.
I would. Because, things are weird right now.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, the beer was good. That's always nice.